max. Do you know that you're getting, small trace amounts of chlorine on your fresh produce when you buy organic? I didn't know that. And all crazy. Then you ate the apple, and the apple was delicious, maybe, but something slightly was off about the apple. Every apple that I have gotten over the past 5 to 10 years, something has been slightly off, and I wasn't able to put my finger on it until now.
So I'm going to teach you and show you that your fruit has coatings on it, what those coatings could be, and how you can get them off. Follow internal post notifications. All your fruit has a coating on it. It could be one of several things. So you see as it starts to come off, it's going to be some form of a wax. Yeah.
So here's what you want to look for. Well, here's what you make sure you don't want to see on your apple. When you have a 4 there, that means it's covered and coated in pesticides and it's covered with a wax. So every time you eat an apple, you're eating a layer of wax and plastic that's around the apple. Only get your food that starts with a 9, not a 4.
Google still tracks you in incognito mode. Use DuckDuckGo, a real private browser.
Another post, another flop. Your cat just sniffs it, makes it stop. One quick scratch, then off they stray, back to the couch, the comfy way.
Yep. This
So it could be a hydrocarbon wax, a derivative from the oil industry, or it could be a carnauba wax on organic fruit that's made from a palm leaf, or my favorite is the shellac or the excrete of the lac bug. Oh yes, sometimes I just like to take the bug poop and grind it up and put it on my fruit. The problem with this stuff is we tried to melt this off. So if this is just wax, it'll melt right off. So we put these apples in the oven and tried to melt them all, the wax off. But what we found was this wax doesn't melt till over 200 degrees. So we cooked the apples instead of getting the wax off. You can't wash it off with hot water. You really can't scrub it off. Hydrocarbon based wax, obviously you don't want to be eating oil products. Even the shellac bug extract and the carnauba wax, not really part of your daily diet. So acids, you need a vinegar, lime juice, or you need something acidic and baking soda to get the coating off of your fruit so that you're not consuming all this wax. Now, why do they put these coatings on the fruit? One, don't they look so beautiful and so shiny? Because as Americans, we only like the shining fruits. And then also it kind of just helps them hold the flavor a little bit longer. But the other thing it does, and you'll see that the waxes are really a lot heavier here on top. There's fungicides in a lot of these waxes, especially if you're buying non-organic. Put a fungicide, so you got to preserve them and bring your beautiful apples year round.
Knew the outsides of them things was feeling crazy. They covered with wax. And even if you go to the expensive supermarkets, the Whole Foods and places like that, it's the same game. They're doing it with all the apples.
Cannot believe Whole Foods is doing this with their food now. We may need to boycott. All right, you see this disclaimer? There's like 30 different produce tables here, but this is hidden all the way over here. Like you have to actually go and find it. Some fruits and vegetables arrive in our stores coated with wax. What I actually have a serious problem with is these synthetic waxes they're using polyethylene, naphtha, paraffin, and mineral oil. Polyethylene is like basically putting microplastics on your fruit. These others are all petroleum based fossil fuel. Here's what you're going to want to do. Number one, always buy organic produce for the fruits and vegetables that are going to have the skin exposed, like apples and cucumbers. Number two, always wash your produce in solution like water and vinegar or water and baking soda. Number three, you could peel the skin. How you doing? We need to be realistic about this. Buying any fruit and vegetable, even if it has a wax coating, is going to be way better than any ultra processed food.
Or not. You're going to notice throughout this whole video is that the items that's supposed to be the freshest, in order for them to get it to you fresh, they got to manipulate it so much that they take fresh and turn it into deadly and turn it into.
All right, guys. So I was going to juice some limes today because limes are ultra healing, if you didn't know. And here's an example of these were all on the ground in my lime tree. You can see here. This is a key lime tree here. And yellow, for anybody that knows the lime, this is what you're buying in the store. That's not a ripe lime at all. That's a completely unripe lime that doesn't fall from the tree. Do you see how it broke off the tree? Okay. That's a ripe lime. They fall off the tree when they're yellow. That's when they're ripe. The grocery store sells you them unripe. Isn't that fascinating? Everybody thinks the lime is green. The lime is yellow, just like the lemon, but they pick it unripe. I don't know why, but that's the truth about it. They're yellow when they're ripe. This is a super medicinal food. If you ask me, far superior to the lemon. It's totally overlooked at the store. The only time people buy it is to throw it in their Corona or a little bit on their shrimp or fish. But otherwise, it's completely overlooked. It's time you put the lemon down and you start getting a hold of these limes.
Okay, friend, family, what you're looking at here is a Hass avocado. This rough skinned avocado doesn't come from nature. This was designed by a man named Rudolf Hass. And you research that. This is one of the most popular and common avocados on the market. So these are cheap, 2 for £1, because why? They have no nutrition inside them. They didn't come from nature. And if you eat these things, they will damage you. On top of that, this is what most guacamole is made from, most avocado oil is made from. So avoid these if you can.
So now you know exactly why you can go into a supermarket and the avocado could be $3. Then you can go back to that same supermarket a week later and they got a bucket of avocados, the bumpy ones, and they $2 for $4. You know exactly why now. The bumpy ones aren't avocados, they're avocados. So leave those alone if you can, because there's some fake stuff that somebody done drummed up in the lab and feeding it to the masses now. But anyway, man, moving right on along, we're going to take a trip to the meat department now. What exactly is in this meat that they feed y'all?
This meat is bright red. That's because it's packaged with carbon monoxide and a few other gases, versus this meat is more of like a ruby red. This is kind of the color of meat. You do not want to eat carbon monoxide.
Yeah, well, that's disgusting.
Yeah, this chicken says air chilled. That means it's not dunked in bleach, versus this chicken does because it contains up to 5% retained water.
Trying to freeze your hands off this winter, these gloves might be for you. Not only are they waterproof, they're thermal heated with polyester fiber.
That's very important what you just said. When you are buying your meat, check the package thoroughly and make sure it does not say any solution anywhere on the package. If it says contains up to a 5%, 10%, 15% solution, put that stuff back down on the shelf and run. Girl, you better run. You don't want anything with any solution in it. And if you think that you're just not going to eat chicken or beef and your problems are going to be solved, you're just going to eat fish your whole life. They even poisoned the fish.
All right, check this one out. This is crazy. Did you know that farmed salmon is not pink? It's actually grey. The reason for this is because it doesn't have the same diet as wild salmon, so it doesn't develop pink pigment. And how does it get pink? Farm salmon is fed a synthetic dye in its feed. And depending on where you live in the world, consumers want the pink to be certain shades. So the feed companies send out a color chart to the salmon farmers, and they can select what color they want their fish to be. Now that's messed up.
Yo, where do you get the vote for the color of the salmon, man? Ain't nobody never asked me what color I wanted the salmon to be. Yo, hit me in the comment section. Tell me where you from and what color do y'all like y'all salmon to be? Because over here we like ours to be like orange is pink, but I be liking to see that dark red salmon. So, but I never got my ballot, man. I feel overlooked over here. But anyway, let's move out of the meat department. We done been in the meat department long enough. Let's move to the dairy department. What's exactly going on with these eggs? Because everybody was fighting for these eggs earlier in the year. They was paying $10 a dozen. What's exactly going on with these eggs?
Oh, it has recently come to my attention that besides what these two chickens ate, a lot of people do not understand the difference between the two. This one you can go buy at Costco. This is a farm fresh egg. Besides how these chickens were raised, besides their living conditions, besides what they consume to produce these eggs, can we talk about the processing process for a little bit? Because no one seems to be talking about this. This is the thing that I think about when I go to a grocery store and I walk past the egg, and I don't buy them, but this is one thing I think about. In order for these eggs, like commercial eggs, to go on the shelf of the grocery store, they have to undergo a certain chemical chlorine wash, which removes the natural bloom. If you don't know what the bloom is, the bloom is still on this egg here because I haven't washed it off. It is a natural protective layer. It's a protective coating that God designed. That bacteria cannot enter the shell because shells are porous. When you wash that bloom off, which is why we don't wash fresh blooms off, right? We leave it so we can leave them on our counter for weeks and weeks at a time, and it is completely shelf stable. But as soon as you remove that bloom, now it's susceptible. Now bacteria and things can enter the shell, and that's why you have to refrigerate it. So not only are you just putting more risk of bacteria getting into your egg, but it undergoes a chlorine chemical wash in order for it to be kosher with our food system. And then that is also getting inside the egg. And then you're cracking it open, and it's getting in your food, and you're consuming it. Gross. As if we're not already consuming enough chemical. I recently just had the conversation with a friend about it because we were both on the same page about how that's what we dislike most about eggs from the store. It's not even necessarily the facilities that they're in, the confinements, or how they're fed, yada yada, but it's more of just like the processing. I want to wash off my own eggs before I'm cooking them. I want to have the satisfaction of knowing that it has been protected the whole time by the God-given bloom that this egg has. You see everyone talking about what the chickens are fed and what they're eating and how much sunlight they're exposed to. But you don't see a lot of people talking about the bloom, chlorine and chemical washes done in the industry, and just the general understanding of what's happening in the egg industry.
Now I know your belly's ready for some of this egg, Tyrone. It's off the chain, baby. So with that being said, it's a good chance that every one of us, if we're an egg eater, we done ate several contaminated eggs in our lives, and we're just lucky that nothing has happened because the protective membrane has been stripped away and replaced with chemicals. And chemicals have seeped through the egg. So that hasn't helped us any. So the eggs are pretty much poison. Let's move on and see exactly what's going on with the butter, because we already know that the butter is just one chemical off from plastic. Hope y'all know that. Margarine is one chemical off from plastic, so hope you already know that, but that's not good enough. They want to take margarine to whole new heights.
In the middle of an industrial park in a suburb west of Chicago, something unprecedented is happening. So you're using this gas right now to like cook your food, and we're proposing that we would like to first make your food with that gas. Right? You better believe it. Their pioneering tech uses carbon and hydrogen to make the stick of butter you see on this plate.
Looks and tastes and feels exactly like dairy butter, but with no agriculture whatsoever.
So what is it made out of?
It's really just our fat, some water, a little bit of lecithin as an emulsifier, and some natural flavor and color.
Fats are made up of carbon and hydrogen chains. The goal here? Replicate those chains without animals or plants. And they did it.
We don't want it. Return to sender.
Now, this is just the sweetest wallet I've ever seen. Yes, trackable. Trigger engage.
This is a
Those
bullshit.
chains without animals or plants. And they did it.
We don't want it. Return to sender.
So the actual little butter section of real butter, that section's small in the supermarket, and the margarine section is probably 3 times bigger than the actual butter section. When they add this new stuff, man, you have like 1 or 2 actual butter choices, and those are probably gonna be bought up by the big box chains and have some extra stuff in it. But let's keep pushing our cart. Let's keep moving right along through this supermarket. What about the cheese? What's going on with the cheese?
This is gonna burst your bubble, but if you eat cheese, you're gonna want to watch this. One of the ingredients to make cheese is rennet. And oh, guess who's come in and taken over that process? The one, the only. Probably nothing, but a whopping 90% of cheeses sold in America uses a genetically modified version made from Pfizer. I don't want the word technology associated with my food or with my health at all. And again, just in case you miss it, yeah, read the bold for me. It's nothing. Why is biotech infiltrating with CRISPR technology? Okay. And I just want to give a shout out to these demons who have allowed it to be. So thank you, FDA. I trust you. Thank you for bringing bioengineered technology, gene-altering technology into our food industry. What? The ingredients label do not distinguish between. Why would they? Why would they? Why would they? Oh wait. Oh, you think you're safe because you're a vegetarian? Side note, if I'm craving cheese, which is like I might buy it 2 times a year, okay? I only buy 1 cheese. Because A, it's the highest content of protein in any cheese. B, it's not made in America. So that would be Parmigiano, okay? And I just want to highlight this real quick. Okay, Parmesan is a fake cheese made in America. You want Parmigiano. You want the G. If it doesn't have a G in it on the menu or on the label, do not put this garbage in your body. You want the Parmigiano from Italy. Oh, and one more thing. Just like Pringles aren't considered chips because they don't have the percentage of real potatoes to equate to a chip. Velveeta, surprise, surprise, is not technically a real cheese. So what are people eating? I can't. I mean, last thing I'll highlight. Are we surprised here? Profit over people. F these demons.
Since she was just talking about fiber, let's just pause. Let's just stop the cart right here in the middle of the dairy section, and let's get into how big pharma is trying to infiltrate the supermarket and trying to infiltrate your pantry.
Can you give me an example of a food that's a vaccine?
You're right. Yes, sir. University of California, Riverside has already perfected the ability to put human vaccines into our lettuce right now. Also, tomatoes has the ability to do that also for UC Berkeley. And then Big Tobacco, RJ Reynolds and stuff has perfected the ability to put a human vaccine into tobacco products.
Chairman Clements? And is that even legal to do in the state of Tennessee to sell those with a vaccine in them?
You're right. Well, I'm not arguing that point. What I'm saying is there is no law deeming those that when you go into a grocery store, you should know as a consumer, this head of lettuce is a head of lettuce. The head of lettuce right next to it could contain a vaccine in it. All we're saying is if it does have the vaccine in it, make sure it's listed as a pharmaceutical so people can get the proper dosage.
You're right. Thank you. My question is right now, can you walk into a grocery store and there be a head of lettuce for sale that has a vaccine in it? I don't think that's allowed under state law presently. And if it is, and you have to list it as a pharmaceutical, are we going to then have Walgreens pharmacists with a refrigerated section? I mean, how's this going to play out?
Thank you. This is more of a consumer protection bill right here, is to make sure that if you're going in to buy tomatoes and there's a polio vaccine in there, that you are aware of what you're buying as a polio vaccine. The problem you have is if it's not treated as a pharmaceutical, being the size difference between you and me, how many tomatoes do I have to eat to get the proper dosage versus how many tomatoes do you have to eat? And if you eat too many, do you get a overdose? If you eat too less.
So what he's saying is, you're going to get these tomatoes whether you like it or not. And and you might fucking die, or it might not help you. Either way, if you start eating tomatoes, you got to make sure you eat enough tomatoes. What the fuck is happening here? How are they debating this? Like, how are they even? Why is this even a fucking thing?
Like we had in the cattle industry with aeromycin, we weren't dosing our cattle properly, and the horn flies were developing an immunity to it. If we don't have the proper dosage of a vaccine, it could lead to the efficacy of that drug not working anymore.
I got an easy solution for all of
So
this.
it's all about.
Why don't you just outright ban vaccines and food?
Duh. Duh.
You outright ban vaccines and food, testing, the trying, all of it, then we won't have any problems with this. The solutions be easy, but they don't want solutions. But anyway, let's keep on walking. Let's continue through the dairy section. What's going on with this milk?
I'm going to teach you guys how to look for real milk and the difference between real milk and fake milk. Make sure to bookmark this, share it with your friends. When you're buying milk, it's kind of like the egg deal. You can figure out where the milk came from by looking on here. So there's a lot of things here. Best by, used by. This is going to be the milk plant ID. And we can look that up on old Dr. Google and figure out where this milk came from. Today is October 17th. And this milk is used by December 10th. All the raw milk in my house is good for about 10 days to 2 weeks. And that's fresh straight from the cow within a day or two of it being milked. So we don't know when this milk came out of the cow. We're here in mid-October with milk that's good until mid-December. Yummy. You're like, oh, raw milk. You're going to drink raw milk and die. Amazing thing happens to our raw milk if we don't drink it within a couple of weeks. We leave it in the fridge. What it does, it turns into something that we call yogurt. It's what happens. The raw milk doesn't really rot. It just, all those natural cultures and enzymes that are in the raw milk that are part of what helps your body actually digest milk. Those are what actually help the milk turn into cheese, cottage cheese, cream cheese. The reason is this is ultra high temp pasteurized. So extremely high temp pasteurized, high temperature for a long time. So what's the difference in this? If you move your milk purchase over to local yogurt, you're going to get low temp pasteurized. I'd love to sell you raw milk, but that's not legal in the state of Texas or any state. You have to go direct to the farm to buy raw milk. Our milk at local yokel is not raw milk, but it's low temperature pasteurized and it's not homogenized. So you still got to shake it up because the cream is on top. That makes it easier for your body to digest that milk. And a lot of people that are lactose intolerant, they're not lactose intolerant. They're ultra high temp, homogenized intolerant. So this was one of my favorites right here. We now call it reduced fat milk. It used to be called skim milk. You'd see 2% milk back in the day up until, the 60s, 70s. This is what they dumped in the bar dish or fed the pigs because nobody wanted this. This means they've taken all the cream out of it to make butter or make cheeses. They take everything. It's the trash. Some guys in the area industry got a great idea to America. They didn't want whole milk. You want real milk because we want to take all the value out of the milk. But instead of throwing it away, we want to convince the Americans they should buy it. And they'd be like, oh, it'll never work. They'll never fall for it. But you did. Gotcha, bitch. The key takeaway to look for low temperature pasteurized, non-homogenized. You're going to see no RBHST. No one is using that particular drug here, but you're going to see hormone-free, antibiotic-free. That's what you want to look for. Extreme regulations on antibiotics in the milk. You don't really have to worry about antibiotics in your milk too much because that is heavily regulated. But the hormones that they use to keep these cows producing milk, that's what you want to look for to be able to be that you're completely hormone-free, not just be one hormone that they're no longer using free, but free of all hormones to produce milk.
So they ain't got to the milk, man. They even out here selling fake milk. And I don't want to hear nobody in the comments section talking about that's why I drink almond milk, because almond milk might be worse than the fakest of the regular milk.
What they figured out with almond milk was, we can take leftover parts of almonds and the ones that are broken and unsightly, and we can use those to make milk, and it's just a few almonds and some canola oil and some high fructose corn syrup, some flavorings, and we blend it up and we sell it for like $8 as a health food product. It's not a health food product. So almond milk is high in phytic acid that sucks minerals out of your bones, so you have to take more minerals, and it's also high in oxalates, which are the things that are causing kidney stones and things that are causing gout and joint pain when you wake up. Even if you have really bad skin and you're eating a ton of these high oxalate foods like almond milk and kale smoothies, this can be why, because it's making tiny razor sharp calcium oxalate crystals in your skin that are coming out. So I don't recommend almond milk. Also, if you're a vegan for animals, the number of bees, about a third of all bees die pollinating almonds every year. Like it is not a particularly clean product.
Do you know why almond milk is called milk? Because no one can call it nut juice and keep a straight face.
That's a great point, Granny, because I don't think nobody would be buying it, and that would be hard to market. That would be extremely hard to market. But another slash dairy product that's in the supermarket, this ice cream. What exactly is this ice cream?
So I heard there's something about ice cream not being ice cream, and you know how I am about food. I got to check this out. So let's go inside, see what's up. Let's start with Friendly's right here. So this is Friendly's butter pecan. There you go, premium ice cream. Now you go to the super stuffed frozen dairy dessert, not ice cream. What about a local-ish one? Turkey Hill up in Pennsylvania. Ooh, Colombian coffee, premium quality frozen dairy dessert. However, if you go down to the homemade vanilla, right down here, this is premium quality ice cream. This reminds me of the time that I found out that Kraft singles are not cheese, but instead pasteurized prepared cheese product. The heck is that? What if you want a frozen dairy dessert cone? Well, you can get that from Kit Kats. But again, no ice cream, frozen dairy dessert. Let's check out a staple, Ben and Jerry's, right? All of these, look at this, right there, says ice cream. Every single one of these, ice cream, not a frozen dairy dessert. Please, Haagen-Dazs, please be all ice cream. Oh, yeah, rum raisin, old school, right? Ice cream, boom. Coffee, my favorite. Ice cream, boom. That's not a frozen dairy dessert, that's actual ice cream. We decided to buy all of these ice creams and we're going to test them to see which one melts or doesn't.
And the premium ice cream that I usually buy was out of stock for this weekend. So this is Aldi's Sunday Shop brand. Accidentally left it in the back of my trailer from Friday night until late morning over the Labor Day weekend, late morning on Monday, and it did not melt. Like, what kind of chemical, disgusting wizardry is this?
What the hell is even that?
PSA for anyone with mason jars collecting dust after the canning season. Every home preserver I know is obsessed with this device, and once you see why, you'll never let your jars sit empty again. This tiny but powerful device is pure magic. It transforms any mason jar into the perfect storage container with just one touch. Hear that satisfying pop? That's the sound of your food staying fresh for weeks, even years.
Got a whole aisle full of cold putty fluff. None of that stuff is ice cream anymore, man. Nobody's using actual cream. Well, matter of fact, the way you can tell real ice cream is the ice cream that I can't even say it's the $8, $9 ice cream because they be beating y'all in the head with the $8, $9 ice cream. So the ice cream is poison also. But I'm gonna ask y'all a question. What do y'all think this is a video or a production of?
This black fermented sludge is what you pour all over your kids' food. It's brewed from a mix of rotting anchovies, sugar, and molasses, then left to sit for months. Inside, you've got potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate, the duo that causes mitochondrial damage, and people still slob on this gunk. I'm talking about Worcestershire sauce. One scan flagged it as 70% processed with traces of microplastics.
Oh, how many of my people out there use Worcestershire sauce? I can't even say it right. Worcestershire. I don't know. Hit me up in the comment section and let me know if you use the W sauce. But I think I'm going to pass. But I know one of my favorite things in the supermarket, I'm a pickle person. It's nothing like a crunchy pickle. And I told y'all before, man, I'm racist when it comes to my pickles. I need a white pickle, man. I'm sorry. If you a green pickle, I'm looking at you crazy, man. White pickles on. Any love a good pickle. But a lot of you people like those jarred green pickles that I was just talking about.
Ew.
Careful in those green pickles, man. You never know what they putting in them jars.
Where's my pickle lovers at? I'm gonna feelings of artificial dyes on the top. So you think it's good, right? And it's actually really hard to read the ingredients. Calcium chloride, polysorbate 80 for barrier. So the blood-brain barrier is there to keep things from going into your brain. It opens that. So if we're opening that and consuming things that are toxic or anything we should, where's it going to go? You should never be consuming these.
Now, don't get it confused. Don't get it jacked up. The supermarket sells a whole lot more than just fruits, vegetables, dairy, food. It sells, household cleaning items. So, your laundry detergent, your dish detergent, and a lot of that stuff is just as toxic as the food.
Whoa, what's in that Blue Dawn dish detergent? This is the platinum and regular Blue Dawn dish. Everyone knows what this stuff smells like. It kind of sticks around on pan even after a million times. Not a fan, like the flavor. I think it stays in my food. I just can't get rid of it. Anyways, let's figure out what it is. All right, so I've been experimenting with Headspace GC. That's what these are. These are Headspace GC containers. Using sparkling water to get better volatilization rather than flat water. And the water I've been choosing is this Saratoga Spring sparkling water, like a perfect carbonated water. Clean to use for this. A little bit goes a long way. Let's give it a go. On to the Headspace GC, position 3 and 4. Dawn dish detergent. This is the regular Blue Dawn, and this is the Dawn Platinum off the Headspace GC. All right, so if you remember, I put CO2 in there. I put some sparkling water, and so that's what this big blob in the front is. Is that this CO2 carrier gas? I think that helps volatilize the small stuff. So when you zoom in to more of our analytical zone for flavors and fragrances, then we get really good sharp peaks. It is limonene. So it's a lemony flavor. So dominant flavor in the platinum. I mean, it seems like they contain pretty much the same flavoring fragrance ingredients, but different levels ever so slightly. And then in the regular Dawn, it's this ortho-tert-butyl cyclohexyl acetate, and I know this molecule already, better known as a Verdox or green acetate.